Welcome back. We are here at my learning block and I am very excited. Do you know why? Well, yeah, practically because you decided to watch this video. So today we're going to learn a little bit about Earth's materials. Now, Earth's materials are the natural materials found here on Earth. Materials such as rocks, minerals, soils, and as well as water. So we're going to get a little bit of a little fun learning about how to learn about Earth's materials. This is going to be a very fun thing to do with your child. All the materials here are rather cheap, so enjoy learning with us. Now, today our focus is going to be about soils. Now, soil is a complex mixture of minerals, water, air, organic material, organisms decaying the remains of once living things. It's very vital here on Earth. Soil is so vital that we have it everywhere. All right, there are different types of soil. We have clay, we have a multitude of types. We have sand, we have silt. But today we're going to work on how to actually go through the process of creating soil. And the way we're going to do that is by making, if I can click the button, a compost. All right, so compost is basically, it forms naturally everywhere, but we're going to watch the process of creating compost. And we're going to do it with a few ingredients. Now, our ingredients to making compost are as follows. We need an empty container. And if you're going to have little critters inside, please make sure you have adequate holes for ventilation so that they're able to breathe. Again, we need air in this process, so the hose will allow for that air to come in. We also need sand. Some people decide to make compost without sand, but we're going to use sand, and I'll tell you why coming up shortly. You'll also need water. And I have water through the leaves. I've allowed a little bit of water to be in there. I also have a little water that I'll put on a little later on. And then last, you need brown vegetation and green vegetation. Now, brown vegetation, I'm going to use paper clippings, newspaper clippings today. Try not to use the little shiny pieces of the newspaper like the advertisements, because it has chemicals that decompose very, it takes it a very long time to decompose. Along with all that, you can have wood chippings, you can have broken leaves that have fallen to the ground. It's a lot of dry material. You can use coffee beans, leftover coffee grains. I've even seen some places saying you can use the dryer, like the leftover stuff from the dryer. Not sure, but today we're just going to use the newspaper. Newspaper, wood chippings, and broken leaves work perfectly. With regard to green vegetation, we're going to use lettuce today, but you can pretty much use most of your household type things that are left over, your vegetables and different things like that. We are not going to use meat and different things of that nature, simply because meat brings smells, brings odors, and we're trying to keep this thing relatively smell good, I guess. Smelling good, something like that. All right, in the meantime, the brown provides carbon for your compost, and the green provides nitrogen. You want to make sure you have a very good blend of them both every time. The rule of thumb is every time you add brown, you add green, or every time you add green, try to add something brown to it. All right, and then the last will be our little critters. I will open them up in a moment. All right, so the worms, we're just going to use them to speed up the process, to give them something to do rather than, I bought these from a bait and tackle shop, so they were going to be fish food. No longer. I saved them. All right, so worms, we're also going to use them to help us out in this process. Now, let's talk about the process right now. Okay, so Number one, we're going to place the sand in our container. Now, the reason why we're putting sand is because, like I said, we're gonna add water. And what the sand actually does is drains the water. So some people say not to add sand, but we're gonna add sand so we can drain the water. And I'm not putting a whole lot. I'm just gonna put enough to cover the bottom of our bucket. I see I have some leaves in there. So I'll put enough sand in here to kind of cover the bottom. And what, like I said, what that'll do is drain our water when we add it in. So we have sand on the bottom. Then we're going to create layers of brown and green vegetation. So what I'll do is I'll start off, and with these wood chippings or with the newspaper, you want to make sure you cut them all to relatively the same size. So I've kind of ripped them, and I'm still ripping them, to make a specific size, such as the one I have done now. And I see I haven't ripped it all great yet. So I'm gonna add some brown, and notice my container is see-through. I'm simply doing that for the fact that you can see when I add these worms, they really like dark places. So I'll probably transfer this to a darker container. And that's just for their preference, because worms like to burrow underneath. And if I can keep this whole thing dark, they'll go in and out throughout the container. So I'm gonna add one layer of brown. Then I'll switch over and add one layer of green. Again, the brown provides the carbon, and the green will provide the nitrogen to the compost. And again, I've cut the lettuce to a relatively the same size. And you see we have some spoiled pieces. Great, excellent, excellent. All right, and I'm gonna go, need a little more green than that. Don't forget to eat your greens. At least that's what my mom used to say. I know, weird. All right, so I've added a little green. Come back to the brown. I'm gonna rip it a little better because I did a bad job. Come back a little bit of brown. All right, now the brown, generally you want to try to keep dry, but like I said, we're gonna add water anyway, so it's gonna get a little wet, and that's perfectly fine. All it does is add room for the bacteria to kind of grow in this and create a little soil, which is great. We love soil. All right, so I have my layer of brown, and I'm gonna go one more layer of green. Now you will notice your green will actually decompose a lot faster than your brown, because there are already bacteria at work going after it. You know what I mean? So your green will already, like this lettuce, took it out a couple days ago. Well, yesterday. And now it's already starting to decompose, yet the brown has not, and that's simply for the fact that it takes a while, but we also need that carbon. So I'm here with the brown and the green, and that looks about good. And now it is time for our fun critters who have been saved. You should, I open these things with my girls, and they enjoy them. My baby, she really loves worms. All right, so you see, I don't know if you can, we have worms. These are red worms. The reason why I got red worms, I don't know. I just decided to. So I'll take them out. Hopefully they don't bite me. All right, so I have a handful of worms, and I can feel them moving. Oh, it's so nasty. I almost used gloves. No, it's not nasty. Let's grab one. Hey, Mr. Worm. You see Mr. Worm? I grabbed him because he wasn't moving that much. All right, so we're gonna add worms to our mixture. There you go, buddies. And what these worms are gonna do is two things. One, they're gonna eat, or three things. One, they're gonna eat. They're also gonna reproduce, and then they're going to use the bathroom. So worms are good because they provide a lot of good nutrients. There's a baby in there. Oh, the little baby. All right, so what I will do after this is I will provide a little bit of water. You don't want to provide too much because water creates smells. All right, so you don't want to provide too much water, but I'll provide a little bit of water, spray it down, and I want to make sure I keep this thing a little bit moist, because if I can keep it moist, that's pretty good for the compost. Let's see if we can get some in here. Yes, there they are. You see them? You see them? All right, so I'll keep them moist and I'll add to it weekly, daily if I need to, if I can. Oh, all these worms. Here, I'll try to show you. Worms! Kids love worms. I hope you really enjoy doing this with your child. This is creating compost. Bon appetit. Let's grab one of these guys so they could say goodbye to you. Ew. Ew. Okay. So thank you for joining me here on my learning block. I look forward to seeing you next time. I enjoy learning with you. Enjoy making compost. All right. Bye.